thanks for the money, but no one wants a janitor in the wedding photos, my brother said with a grin. I nodded, went home, canceled the catering I paid for, then packed a bag and left for Costa Rica. A day later, my phone blew up. It had started at the reception. I was still standing in the corner of the tent when Alan, my younger brother, raised his champagne glass. Aiden, he said loudly, smiling, seriously, man, thanks for covering the food, real hero move. People turned to look. I gave a small, uneasy smile. Then he added, for everyone to hear, but let's be honest, no one wants a janitor in the wedding photos. Silence, then scattered, awkward laughter. His best man chuckled. His bride, Emma, hid behind her wineglass. A few guests avoided my gaze. I just stood there, still in my work boots and blue uniform shirt, bleach paint on my sleeves. I let out a small laugh, just air through my nose. You're right, I said. No drama, no yelling, no scenes. I simply turned, walked off the lawn, and left. Inside, though, something snapped, quietly, like a clean break you don't notice until the pain sets in. Back in my car, I watched people dancing through the windows, blurred behind fairy lights. I opened the catering invoice I had paid weeks ago, $8,793.24, still within cancellation time. I hit the button, canceled it. Then I booked a one-way flight to Costa Rica. If they didn't want a janitor in the photos, let's see how they liked wedding photos with no food on the tables. That one sentence didn't just sting, it opened my eyes. Let me explain. Alan has always been the golden boy, charming, irresponsible, always with a smile and a new excuse. While he bounced around college majors, I was mopping floors to help mom and dad pay his tuition. He dropped out after 3 semesters. College isn't for me, he said. Thanks, bro, you're a lifesaver. That line became routine. I helped with his first apartment, covered the deposit, paid his overdue bills. When he got engaged, he asked for my help with the wedding. You're the only one I trust, he said. So I worked overtime, skipped breaks, put every spare dollar into his big day catering, venue, even the second dress Emma wanted after complaining about the first. And how was I thanked? With a joke about my job in front of 200 people. The next morning, I woke up in a budget hotel near the beach, California air through the windows, but I felt nothing but anger. I checked my phone, 47 missed calls. Texts had started pouring in around 6 p.m. Emma, Aiden, where are you? Alan, dude, did you cancel the food? Mom, please tell me this is a misunderstanding. Emma, do you know how humiliated we were? People left. Dad, Aiden, call me, now. And finally, Alan, bro, you went too far. Like I said, no one wants a janitor in the photos, but this is just pathetic. No apology, just more insults. That night, Mom called again and again. I finally answered. Aiden, what is going on with you? Hi, Mom, good to hear from you, too. Emma's family is furious. Everyone went home hungry. I laughed. Emma's family? You mean the ones who paid for nothing and left me the cake bill? That's not the point. No, the point is your son humiliated me, and you all laughed. Oh, come on, it was a joke. You really think it's funny? I asked. I skipped vacations, stayed in town for your mortgage, paid for Alan's wedding, and I'm not even good enough to be in a photo? There was silence. Well, she said coldly, you do wear that uniform everywhere, maybe if you tried harder. That was it. The moment everything clicked. I hung up. Later, Dad called. What were you thinking? He barked. People were calling us. Emma was crying in the bathroom. I said nothing. You listening, son? Dad, I said calmly, let me ask you something. What? When Alan dropped out of school, who paid his last tuition bill? You did. When his car broke down? You did. When you and Mom couldn't pay the heating bill 3 years ago? A pause, then a grunt. What's your point? My point, I said slowly, is that I've always shown up, and not once have any of you ever said thank you without adding a guilt trip after. And now you think I owe you my dignity, too. You're being dramatic. No, I'm being done. A few days later, I dropped by Alan's house. Not to argue, just to drop off a manila folder. He opened the door, shirtless and holding a beer. "The ghost returns," he said with a smirk. I handed him the folder. "Receipts, catering, rentals, tips. You might want to actually pay people this time." He snorted, "Trying to play hero again?" I stared at him. "You think you're better than me?" he said. "All you do is mop floors and hold grudges." "No," I said. "I think I was a fool, a janitor who thought love could be bought, who thought family meant something." He smiled. "Guess you finally figured it out." I nodded. "Yeah, and now you get to live with it." 3 days after the wedding, silence. No calls, no texts, no apologies. Just cold, empty nothing. Then a white envelope arrived. My name was written in delicate handwriting on the envelope. Inside was a typed letter from Emma. "Dear Aiden, we hope you understand what your actions cost us. My parents were humiliated. Alan is heartbroken. We're asking you to do the right thing and reimburse the expenses we had to cover after you canceled the catering. Enclosed is an invoice. We expect the transfer by Friday. Family means responsibility." The invoice? $2,400 for emergency pizza delivery, one extra generator, and my favorite, $500 for emotional distress, her tears. I stared at the paper, then calmly fed it through my blender and watched it turn to confetti. The next morning, a text from Mom. "Family dinner, Saturday, you're coming, we need to talk." At first, I wasn't going to go. But then I thought, no, I will go and I'll bring everything. Saturday, 6 p.m. I walked in with a backpack. Inside, my laptop, a USB stick full of receipts, screenshots, and one video I'd been saving. They were all seated. Mom clutched tissues, preparing for drama. Dad looked stern. Emma wore that smug, self-pitying look. And Alan, dressed like a motivational speaker, cold, confident. "Aiden," Mom said gently, "we're glad you came." "Don't be," I replied. "This won't take long." Emma leaned forward. "We're trying to move past this, but you humiliated us. Do you even understand that?" I held up a hand. "You've had your turn, now it's mine." I opened my laptop, hit play on a video from the rehearsal dinner. My friend, a photographer, had captured it by accident. The mic had been hot. Emma's mom: "So your brother's covering the catering?" Alan, laughing: "Yeah, poor guy thinks it makes him feel included." Emma: "Let him. It's the only way he'll ever be part of something decent." Alan: "Don't worry, he's used to cleaning up after other people. Literally." I paused the video. Silence. "Still funny?" I asked. No one spoke. Mom looked like she wanted to disappear. Dad had gone pale. Emma stood up. "That's taken out of context." "Is it?" I opened a folder of screenshots. Alan's texts to a friend: "Aiden's paying for catering. Told him we're broke. Emma's dad is covering the DJ but we're pocketing the rest. LOL. Free food. FTW." I looked at Alan. "You lied. You used me. Then you mocked me." He stood too. "You betrayed this family." "No," I said. "I finally stopped betraying myself." Dad slammed the table. "You're acting like a child." I met his stare. "No, I'm acting like a man who's done being your backup plan." Emma snapped. "You destroyed our wedding." I smiled. "No, I reclaimed my dignity." I zipped up my bag, turned toward the door, then paused. "Oh, and by the way, I sent the video to every wedding guest, including your boss, Alan." He flinched. "Let's see how well your janitor jokes go over in HR." Emma gasped. "You didn't." I did. And I walked out, not in anger, but in peace. Behind me, Emma burst into tears. And for the first time in my life, I felt absolutely nothing. The family collapsed. I didn't drive home. I drove to the coast, climbed onto the hood of my car, and watched the waves roll in. They asked nothing of me. I could have stayed there forever. Until the phone lit up. 27 missed calls, 9 voicemails, a message from Emma's mom: "You're a classless disgrace." One from Dad: "You've embarrassed us beyond repair." And the cherry on top, from Alan: "You're dead to me. You'll regret this." I read it 3 times, smiled, deleted it. No anger, just relief. Then something unexpected happened. Someone had recorded the tail end of my family dinner speech. It hit TikTok. My voice saying, "I gave myself back my dignity," went viral. Comments flooded in. The most satisfying moment on the internet. This janitor just mopped the entire family. Realest thing I've ever seen. Even BuzzFeed DM'd me for the full story. I ignored it all. I didn't need their validation, but damn, it felt good. Thursday, quiet. Then a message from Sophie, my ex. We had dated for 2 years. She left because she couldn't watch me keep getting used. Her text, "I saw the video. I've never been prouder. I always knew the fire was there. They just buried it." We met for coffee 2 days later. No tension, no pressure, just peace. "I left because I couldn't stand what they did to you," she said softly, "but I always hoped you'd see it too." "I saw it," I said, finally. She smiled. "So, what now?" "I don't know," I said, "but for the first time, it'll be my choice." Back home, everything burned. Emma left Alan 3 days after the video exploded. Her parents called her a disgrace. Alan texted me just 2 words. "You win." I didn't reply. Then something I didn't expect. A message from Kelly, my cousin. "I'm done with them too. You inspired me. I just signed the lease on my own place." Kelly had always been the quiet one at family gatherings, always watching. Turns out, she'd been watching everything. By Sunday, my mom showed up at my apartment. I didn't let her in. "I just want to talk," she said through the screen door. "So talk." Her voice trembled. "You broke the family, Aiden." "No," I said, "the family was broken long before I stopped fixing it." She opened her mouth to argue, but didn't. Instead, she whispered, "Your father's not speaking to anyone. Alan hasn't left his house." "Not my burden anymore," I said. "You made that clear. You really won't help us?" she asked. "Not even now?" "No." Her eyes welled. "I don't even recognize you." I smiled, finally. And I shut the door. The next day, Sophie emailed me. "Flying to Costa Rica in 3 weeks. You said you always wanted to go. Still want to?" I stared at the screen. Then typed, "Booked." But first, I left for a short trip, not Costa Rica, just a quiet weekend alone. The night before I left, I stood on my balcony sipping whiskey. Messages still flooded my socials, strangers sharing their stories, thanking me for saying what they never could. I hadn't meant to start a movement, I just finally stood up. At 9:12 p.m., another ping. "Brian, Allen's ex-best friend. Proud of you, man. He always treated you like trash. You burned it all down and still came out clean." I smiled, not for the praise, but because it was finally over. I looked out over the city lights and whispered to the night, "Thanks for the wedding photos." Then I raised a glass. To freedom. To truth. To finally saying no. 2 months later, Costa Rica. The breeze kissed my skin as I lay in a hammock with a book I hadn't touched in years. It smelled like mango trees and salt. No buzzing phones. No guilt wrapped around my neck like rope. I was free. But what surprised me most? I didn't miss them. Not even a little. When you grow up in a family like mine, you're taught one thing above all: obligation. Family is everything. You don't turn your back on blood. You're the older one, it's your job. They never talk about respect. Never mention mutual effort. Never admit that love without boundaries is just control in costume. For years, I paid, fixed, shrunk, bent. And for what? To be called a janitor at my brother's wedding. To be cropped out of photos, then asked to pay for dessert. No more. After the story went viral, I got thousands of messages. People who walked away from toxic families, siblings, spouses. But one message broke me open. My brother used to call me worthless. I was paying his rent and raising his daughter. Your story made me walk away. I feel like I can breathe. I knew that feeling. And I realized I didn't just take my life back. I gave people permission to take theirs too. Alan is still unemployed. Emma never came back. Last I heard, she's trying to marry into a wealthy family her dad knows through golf. Good luck. My parents tried one last stunt. They sent an old family friend to mediate. Someone I hadn't seen since high school. He showed up at my door like some peace envoy. "You've made your point," he said. "They get it now. Maybe it's time to come home." I didn't answer. I just pulled up a photo from the wedding, the one where Alan's laughing with a champagne glass and I'm cropped halfway out of frame, and zoomed in. "They didn't just crop the photo," I said. "They cropped me." He said nothing. Then nodded and left. Sophie and I didn't get back together. But we stayed close, bonded by scars shaped the same. She visited Costa Rica once. We drank rum on the beach and talked until sunrise. When she left, she smiled and said, "You're not the same guy I walked away from, and that's a good thing." She was right. A few weeks ago, I did something simple, but it felt like a revolution. I walked into an office supply store, bought a whiteboard, and wrote one word in bold: boundaries. Underneath, I listed 10 names. People I'd spent years trying to please. Next to each name, 2 columns. Respected me, used me. Only 2 got a check mark. One of them was mine. Now, when people ask, "Do you regret it?" I laugh. Because what I lost wasn't family, it was an illusion. They didn't love me. They loved my silence, my money, my compliance. But when I said no, they vanished. And maybe they always would've. Some people dream about revenge. I dreamed about quiet mornings, coffee without dread, friends who call just to say hi, not to ask for things, days without the weight of being someone's emotional landfill. Now I have that. And I will never give it up again. My last message from Alan came on my birthday. "Hope you're happy. We needed you." I smiled. And finally replied, "I needed me too." That's the difference. This is where the story ends. Not with pie and forgiveness, but with freedom. One man finally looked his family in the eye and said, "You don't get to call it love if you treat me like furniture." Then he left. And never looked back. The moral: if you want one, if they mock your struggle, call you cheap while spending your money, laugh at your kindness like it's weakness, cancel the catering. Let them taste hunger for once. Then book a flight. Raise a glass. And toast to the one person who always deserved your loyalty. You.